everybody. My name is Jill. I'm the Associate Playwright and Dramaturg here at the Royal Court, and this is Ciara Elizabeth Smyth, the wonderful playwright of tonight's show, Lilo. Thank you so much for joining us for our post-show conversation. I'm just raring to talk to Ciara about this play. This is my third time seeing play, watching it tonight.
I'm so sorry.
So I saw it at the Edinburgh Fringe, where I was totally astonished by it. And I saw it obviously when we opened here, and I saw it again tonight. And it just grows and grows on me each time. Not that makes it sound like I didn't like it the first time. I liked it originally.
Hated it the first time. It's okay now.
First, most important question: where's the playlist?
Yeah, I love that Kelly Marie song because it feels so out of place in some ways, but the lyrics perfectly describe a panic attack, as well as being in love. Like it was a really nice one to put in the show.
They share a lot of qualities, right?
Those two things. Qualities. Awful.
But what I really wanted to ask you was could you tell us a little bit about where the idea for the play came from originally? Like, what made you write Lilo?
Well, it was loads of things, as all plays are. I think I had a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder following a sexual assault that had happened a decade before, so it was really a surprising diagnosis, and it was manifesting in quite strange ways, in insomnia, hypervigilance, and thinking I was going to be murdered all the time. And I know that doesn't sound funny, but I found it quite funny in a way. I thought that was quite interesting, as in, I don't know, the aftermath and the insidious nature of something that keeps repeating on you, yourself. And then there was a TikTok. There was this incredible, gorgeous actor who's a friend of mine and a very good friend of the director's. His name is Michael Patrick, and he's gorgeous. He's got this sort of bounding Labrador energy, and I was really interested in writing something for him that felt far more sinister, or using his natural likability against him in a way. I think that's where it started. And I suppose there was an element of it. I had also been, it sounds like I'm getting embroiled in scandals all the time. I'm not, but I'd also worked in a theatre in Ireland where the artistic director had been accused of some really horrible behaviour, and I, at the time of my employment, reported it in an email. So I suppose it was just, and then became involved in a legal case. And I was quite interested in how the institution dealt with it, in the way of, once that person was no longer in the job, they were like, okay, great, so Monster's gone, we don't need to do anything. And just how difficult it was to address that sort of sticky, systemic stuff that is there, but maybe you can't point at. Definitely, yeah.
The intangibility of, I suppose, rape culture, right?
Yeah, and just under someone's authority who's not behaving very well and not treating people very well, other people naturally, kind of start to replicate that behaviour, and then maybe they're not doing things as bad, but yeah. So I suppose, that's not necessarily in the play, but it all sort of impacted the piece, and I did want to write something that probably very unpopularly looked at sexual assault and trauma from an angle of nobody comes out clean, and the damage that it does, really.
Complexity and with nuance.
Yeah, and how, when you're hurt, you have the potential to really cause some damage. Not always, but...
Yeah. And you say unpopularly. I pull up that word purely because, so you say that, were you feeling that there was something missing in these kinds of stories that you were seeing or that were being told?
There has been a lot of plays about sexual assault and sexual harassment, and there's been a lot of TV and film about it as well. And not that I thought that it was missing. It was just far more interesting for me as a writer to look at it in maybe a more neutral view, as in, we all know it's bad. I'm not super interested in putting the play on that's like, hey, that's bad, isn't that bad? You know, we get it. And that's not diminishing anybody else's work on the subject, but I was maybe more interested in like everybody's a bit shit.
Yeah. Nobody comes out clean, as you said. Yeah,
kinda,
100%.
yeah.
And so to dig into the form of it a little bit, right? So what you've got is this really tight, impressive two-hander, close time, close space. Like all of the stakes are there in terms of this relationship and what's on the table for both characters.
Yeah.
And then you have this like amazing, like absurdist, like dance number world on top of it. Like, when did that come into play? Was that always part of the vision of the play for you, or was that a production decision? Like,
yeah, I think it was definitely always a part of the vision of the thing. Just because I really like surrealism and absurdity, and it's fun. Yeah. So and I also feel like in a play about such a weighty topic, I did sort of want to offset it with something else, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's very nice to explore something non-verbally as well, to kind of try and get a feeling across. So that was the attempt. Yeah. I don't know how successful that was.
Well, I mean, for me, what it does, and we'll open the floor to questions in a bit. I'm curious for everybody's stuff, but what it does is it underlines something that's very true about the play for me. And I think of all of your work, so I've known your work prior to this as well in Dublin. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
Is it a comedy? I mean, I would argue it's a comedy.
Yeah, kind of. I definitely wanted to use a lot of the things that I had written before had been more obviously comedies, I think. I mean, you're Irish as well. But I think British people as well are like, they utilise comedy generously. And even in really tragic situations, it's just sort of, you're waiting for someone to tell a joke. A little bit, I feel like there's a joy in it, and I don't think that you relinquish with that, maybe in a tragic situation. Also, it was a very purposeful thing to put some comedy in for the benefit of making it slightly maybe more accessible. And then also, I think it makes it really unsettling as well. Yeah. And then you're sort of wondering, should I laugh? Should I not laugh? Is this all a bit sick? Who is this playwright? What's wrong with her? Do you know?
Also, in a play that is about like belief and stories, and where everybody has a different story of what's happened, you also you're questioning reality, right? Like, because of the absurdism, that like that sense of like what's true and what's real is seeping into the play's sense of itself, particularly with that ending. Yeah. Was that sort of part of it for you? I suppose,
I mean, like, it's so. I definitely didn't want to feel like I was offering answers, because I don't have any. And I suppose, certainly when I was experiencing the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, I just felt like it was very difficult, particularly with insomnia. Things start to get slippy really quickly. Right. And in my experience, I just became kind of desperate, and reality was... sounds maybe more dramatic than it is, but you're kind of like, what is real? Anything. So I think the ending for me is just that there is kind of no answer in a way. Yeah. What a horrible ending.
The Rice Krispies are a nice choice.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Great.
Good,
I'd love to talk a little bit as well about the play's journey to the Royal Court, right? Because I mean, you had your press night yesterday. Very marvellous reviews today. Congratulations. Thank you. But this, like from my perspective, tell me if you agree, this is a bit of a victory lap for you in this show, right? In that it's had a life in Ireland and at Edinburgh before it's come to us. We're very, very grateful to have it here. But could you tell us a bit about like how it was produced originally and how it ended up here at the Royal Court?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you've done the same thing, like in Ireland and probably here as well. I was self-producing for a while, so I had my first full-length play on in 2017. That was Profit Share, and produced myself, and sort of had a nervous breakdown in between. And then it was very well reviewed, and it got me a lot of very positive attention from theatres and commissioners, but nothing really came to fruition. And I also felt like I was working in the dark a little bit, so I didn't know what you were supposed to do or who you were supposed to go to, and so I just kept doing that. So I put on another play, Profit Share, self-produced, and then couple of years later after COVID, I put this on. And so originally it was, I had gotten some funding money to write the script. So I put that into the budget, and I sort of asked the best people I knew to be on it, thinking most of them would say no, but they all said yes, which was great. And they all agreed to, essentially take a pay cut, which is a really horrible thing to have to ask people to do.
Yeah.
But like, I can only pay you this much. This is the gig. Obviously, you can say no. And that was really hard. So we did a run in Dublin Fringe Festival. We got into the Fringe Festival, which was great. And we did a run there in 2022, and we did a run in Belfast, very short run straight after. And in Belfast, Prime Cut, who are a theatre production company, saw us there and did what you always want someone to do, and someone never does. But they came up to me and said, look, if you would like to tour that, we'd be delighted to support you. Which was like a miracle from heaven. And then through, their support, we got offered the Traverse or the Traverse. Well, how do you say that?
I say Traverse.
Yeah.
Who knows what others say?
If someone here knows, you should to bring it up. Yeah. Did you say Traverse?
My dad used to tell my wife he's English, she used to Traverse.
Traverse. I don't know. I like to mumble it and just hope no one asks any questions. But we were there for a month, so I should know.
No employee of the Traverse said it
has ever said it. Yeah, it's in their contract. They can't say it.
A mystery.
But we went to the Traverse. Well, we did a 2-week run in Dublin beforehand, which is really gorgeous. And we, I should say, for that second run, we had the gorgeous Charlotte McCurry back. I mean, we've always had her, and I'm never letting her go. We also had Michael Patrick was still in the role, but we brought on Thomas Finnegan, who is not here, who was on the show tonight, to double the role, because Michael was given some quite horrific medical news in early 2023, and wasn't able to be here for this show, but he is in Midsummer's in the Lyric, so if anybody wants to go see that. So I can't remember the question.
The question was, how was the play originally produced, and how did it get to the core?
That's it.
So you're at the final hurdle.
Am I?
You're nearly there.
Okay, thank you so much.
So let's set the scene. It's Edinburgh 2023.
Edinburgh. There's rubbish everywhere. We were in the Traverse, and we were on the third performance, I think, and I was just so nervous because I didn't have a play put on out of Ireland, and it was a really big deal for me, and David Byrne, I think, happened to have a free hour. And came and seemed to really enjoy it, and we met with him afterwards, and he said, I'd love to bring it to the Royal Court, and I laughed, and we all laughed, and then he made good on his offer, which was just incredible.
Yeah. No
idea what I'm doing here. Delighted, but it was a confluence of obviously there was very hard work, but look, we got very, very lucky that he enjoyed the show and felt like it was right for the programme. Yeah.
And you made an extraordinary play.
Thanks, Pat.
That's part of it. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I guess I asked the question because I think sometimes when we get to this bit, it's obviously the big win, the sort of dream for a playwright to have their play on the Royal Court.
Absolutely.
But you don't always see the work that leads up to it.
Yeah.
So it's just being getting a bit of insight into that journey is really interesting and useful.
Because sometimes you just, it feels like such a mystery.
Yeah.
Or that people have been plucked from obscurity and commissioned by and I was not at all. But I think it's kind of helpful to know.
And so the play has played in Dublin, in Belfast, in Edinburgh, and now in London. You just need Wales.
I just need Wales.
We're holding out for Wales.
If there are any Welsh people here, please approach me after the show.
What have been the sort of most interesting responses? Has it changed? I mean, I feel like this play is very specifically an Irish play, but obviously its ideas transcend any particular.
Thank you.
But I wonder how that's been for you in terms of as it's grown and moved, how people have responded.
I think when we did Dublin for a second time, that was kind of glorious, because we had only done a week in the Dublin Fringe, and it was, as I say, it was quite well received, and just people really showed up. It was like a July run, which is always a bit shit, but it was great. We sold out for the 2 weeks, and Yeah, it felt like a lot of support, which was really lovely. And by that stage, everybody knew that we were going to the Traverse. And I think the fact that it was like, I don't know, someone called it the little indie that could. And I was like, what does that mean? But the fact that we had gone from being, profit share, stressed out of our minds, taking lamps from people's houses, with consent. And then going to the Traverse, it was a big deal. And then from that glorious, glowing, supportive Dublin audience, the Traverse was hard. I found it really difficult. I thought the audiences were much quieter than I expected, and although they were very warm and the houses were full, I suppose you're on more of an international stage then, so you're kind of opening yourself up to a far bigger range of reviewers. And look, we were very lucky to get reviewed, because I do know some people go to Edinburgh and they can't get a reviewer into the show, but they came into the Traverse.
Yeah.
Which is the end of that sentence.
They came.
Yeah, and like some of the reviews were incredible, and then some people hated me personally, which but par for the course, I suppose. But it's kind of like, oh god.
Yeah, it's a really exposing thing, Edinburgh, right? It's it's the biggest arts festival in the world. It can feel quite ruthless. Absolutely. It can feel difficult to get people in the door, and then when they are in the door, to keep them engaged and stuff. I can only imagine going from hometown glory. It must have been quite absolutely.
Yeah, we were so privileged and so lucky to be in the Traverse. Even they swept up the Rice Krispies every day, which we didn't want to do. We had been doing, but
how do you get them out of this carpet?
It's a tough job that our stage manager Ciara Nolan is very good at. But
we throw it to the floor. Does anybody have any questions for Ciara?
It just felt like it was the right match for this show. I don't know if everyone agrees, but for me, I think it did start with that Kelly Marie song, which I love so much. And then I'm reading the lyrics, and I was like, she's having a panic attack. That's what's happening. Yeah. I don't know. It also felt like it sort of ran in parallel with how stuck Faye felt, as in like stuck in almost like a time, and that kept repeating. But now that I say that, I think that's retroactive. I'm trying to sound smart. But I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming again. That's brilliant. That's a lovely question. I actually had originally written, was dancing around the same subject, but it was a totally different play. So I have another totally different play that I will never show anyone because it's terrible. But it was around the time of, I don't know if you remember, there had been a lot of comedians in the comedy industry in Ireland, I'm laughing but it's horrible, accused of sexual assault and inappropriate behaviour, and obviously that's an industry similar to theatre where there's a lot of freelancers and not a lot of women at all. So originally they were two different characters, still brother and sister, but one of them was a comedian. And that was the script I sent Charlie, and I did not think it was good. But I was like, please, 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 come on board. And then when Charlie did come on board, I felt about the script that it wasn't working at all. I felt like I had spotlighted the male character, which was interesting, but it just wasn't working for me. So it's gone on like quite a journey, and we in terms of what we actually put on stage, like when we were in the Tech in Dublin, we pulled a piece of furniture. So like we were like, get that, there was a beanbag on. We were like really stressed, so we don't know what was going on. And then we pulled a scene, so, but I think it's it's not clean. But I think it's a more cohesive arc maybe for them. I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it does. Not a planner. That's a lovely question. I'm not a planner at all. I really wish I was. I think it's a really fantastic way to be. I'm not, and it makes then, if someone's like, oh, do you have an idea for a play? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm a much or for now anyway, at least I just kind of sit down and start writing. If something interesting comes out in the writing, then I'll follow that, or I'll kind of write around something that I think, which is a disappointing answer, I think. But I just find it's far less pressure on myself for that. Sometimes, I don't know how you feel, but sometimes when I sit down to write, even before you've written anything, you start to imagine the audience and the critics and what people will say about it and who will hate it. And that's too much. It's too much for me.
Very quick way to not write anything at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm intimately familiar.
Stressed, so I'm like, this is nothing. This could be nothing. Yeah. And then it's much easier to write. And I find that quite fun as well, to see what just comes out. So obviously there's a lot of work done on the monologue, but largely it just it was from stream of consciousness. Yeah. Do you do that as well, or what do you do?
Just let it all hang out. I don't write very much as part of my problem, which means there's there's like a long gestation period, and then I will hold myself somewhere in a week and be like, these things I've been thinking about for 2 years, get them down.
Enda Walsh is that.
Really?
So he has the whole play in his head.
Yeah.
Because he's a psychopath.
I'm no Enda Walsh. I think also partially because the other half of my job is giving feedback on other people's work. I need to get ahead of my own brain, so I need to do it before my other side of my brain catches up, and is like, that's not good. It's like, of course it's not good, So you do tricks on yourself.
Distract yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go. I was lucky enough to be like an Arvon mentee for 2 years, which meant they sent me away to lovely fancy country houses. It's a good way to get stuff done. Yeah, absolutely. No signal, crucially. Pro tip. Fantastic. Yeah. Mountains.
Phone in the lake.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
I think everybody's different on this, so it's probably important to find out what suits you. I'm a fan of getting actors and a director in very early, like first, second draft, in a way, just to hear it out loud. Second draft, I would never give anyone a first draft. But I think just to hear it out loud, but I'd be very selective of who I show it to. Because obviously some actors are absolutely fabulous, but maybe not for, first, second draft and structure and notes and character. So I think if you do show it to someone really early, you have to be really, really selective and get kind people in and smart people, which is what we had on the team. And then also be prepared not to take any of their advice. If it doesn't suit you, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I would say you just have to do whatever works for you.
I will often give the very same advice you have, which is actually you need to find your most trusted advisors.
Yeah, exactly.
And also be skeptical and be ready to say no to stuff.
Yeah.
Completely.
And cry in the cupboard.
Yes, also healthy.
Yeah.
Part of healthy.
Cupboard crying. I love a title, so very often I'll come up with a title before the play. Not good, but I'm like, I like the sound of that. But what it was so in the first iteration of the piece, the comedian who had sexually assaulted someone, was awful. But he was, I think the situation it had just come out on the internet that he'd done this, and his flatmates had kicked him out, and he was going to stay at his sister's to lie low. And then I scrapped the script, but I liked the title. I maybe should admit that. But maybe, can I start again? It was a time in the woods in Iceland. No, I don't know. Yeah, I just liked the title. I felt like it felt right for both of the characters. Yeah. Sometimes I come up with titles that are shite, but I felt like that worked for the thing. Can I say shite on them? Yeah. Okay, great.
Great. I've always associated the title with Faye, and I've never associated it with Nisha, but now really? I get it. Yeah, that's quite cool. Good. Yeah. It's like a Rorschach test of a title, like how people read it. That's good.
Totally.
Yeah. Great. Amazing. I think that's all we have time for. Yeah, I'm getting the solemn nod.
Oh.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Could you
Thank
tell
you
us?
so much for staying as well. That's
Could you tell us very quickly what is next for you?
Yes,
And then we'll leave
yeah.
it there.
I have a couple of commissions, which is so nice. So I have 2 commissions at the Abbey at the moment, so hopefully maybe one of them will get on. And I'm working with Prime Cut on another play as well. And then just trying to peddle my wares to television people in London.
Very good.
Yeah,
Amazing.
like us all. Yeah.
Like us all. Ciara, thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank
It's really
you.
useful.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thanks for
Round of
coming.
applause for Ciara, everybody.